Only 2 days left until Malaysians go to the polls this Saturday. Now, in this final stretch, have voters made their decisions? With us to discuss this further is Seng, Senior Research Manager for Pollster Merdeka Centre. Hi, Seng. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, good evening to everyone.
So, after almost 2 weeks of campaigning, Seng, do you think that most voters have made up their minds, or do you think there is still room to sway their support?
Based on our observation and based on our survey data, it shows that most of the people actually make up their minds. Just that, as usual, the Malaysian public is a lot more reserved in expressing their political opinion. But still, we have noticed that there's two different kind of segment of voters. Probably still like in the traditional way, which is called atas pagar or fence-sitter, where they probably have something in their mind, but they are not so firm about decision. So these are the voters that potentially can be swayed in the last 24 hours. I will highlight that first, it will be the women voters. They are not so political, ideological driven, so they are more pragmatic. So they also less interest in politics. So when they look at the election, the candidate, the party, so actually they are a bit confused at the same time, but also have certain concern. So they're looking at the candidate, the party who are offering the so-called the safety, the security, sense of security for them, then they will likely go for the voters. But I think the last 24 hours, this group of people are shrinking. So more and more people that probably make up their mind. And actually, the last 24 hours, their family member coming back home from the outstation. So this probably will strengthen some of their belief. The second group for the voters, I think, is still a bit iffy, a bit unpredictable, will be the first-time voter, the so-called, we call Undi Lawan Belas, or how you define it, or we call it first-time voter, age 18 to 25, which are the majority. A lot of them doesn't show interest in politics, but the last 2-3 days we notice they start talk about politics, and they show interest in the politics. They ask about some of the process, how to vote on this thing. But again, they also not so political ideology driven. So, and this is a very different kind of generation where how they consume the news is very different from us. So they go to social media, TikTok, IG, all these things, and rather than read or watch the news now like us, so they have very different dynamics. So potentially some of the last minute kind of thing may change some of their voting patterns at the last minute. Yeah.
Right, I think I do also want to get into your assessment on the election campaign in the past 2 weeks, especially I want to take Merdeka National, for instance, like 2 weeks ago compared to now. It seems that their machinery and campaigning have gained a lot of traction among their base, especially among the Malay majority seats. We've talked about so much GE15 is the battle for Malay voters. How do you see this will play out? This strengthening tide towards Merdeka National.
Well, this is kind of relative. This kind of comparison is a relatively. In the past, we see a lot of strong Barisan National campaign with a well-oiled machinery, well-funded campaign, and also you can see that they are more energetic in the past. But this time around, we can see the different dynamic from the Barisan Nasional. There's always an issue that's about the resource, whether where compared to the past, there's less resource to campaign, and that's why hence you can see the Barisan Nasional machinery is less mobile, less motivated, less agile. But at the same time, Merdeka National, I think they also got a bit of good resource. That's why you can see that the starting week they are quite especially during the nomination, the crowds for the nomination almost comparable to the Barisan National. At the same time, they can manage to sustain the momentum for the first week. You can see a lot of big events, small events, some of these social media thing. So they are quite aggressive in the sense. But whether the second week can the resource sustain, we need to observe. I was told that some of the not so hot seat, the seat that probably they are not can win. Probably they may not get the resource they wanted to sustain the campaign. So you can see that some of the area, the campaign less activity, lesser and lesser, more subdued. But some of the hotter contest seat, the seat that I think they got chances, you can see that there are more resource pumped in and more campaign activity, more event, more kind of social media posting targeted at the voter from the targeted seats.
Now, Seng, in the 1 minute that we have left here, last 2 days for campaigning, what can these parties do to cement the support among their base in these final 2 crucial days? And if there's one message to be out there for voters, what should they be harping on the next 2 days?
Well, the last 24 hours is most of the party that need to make sure their supporter, their base coming out on the voting day, especially we all, our MAC department predict is a wet voting day on a Saturday. So they have to time their voting there. They have to mobilize their voters, supporter at the same time. But the message, I think, after the post-COVID, post-Sheraton move, all these things, people looking at stability and also the government that can bring Malaysia out of this economic hardship that we experienced in the last 2-3 years. So who are the voters are looking for the ideas for the economic development and also the political stability. So which are the safe pair of hands, which party were offering that kind of sense of security? I think probably they will gain their votes.